am so excited. I am Sheila Calvert. I am the author of the book, Why Should I Be Ashamed? I have been just waiting all week just to speak with you. I'm so excited. I've been YouTubing all day, just really looking at a lot of subjects that's going on in our land. I pray that you are keeping safe and making sure that you're washing your hands at this corona time, at this social distancing, and just really sticking to the rules. Well, I've been inside and I've been looking at just different stories and looking at different things that's going on the internet. I see there's great preaching going on. There's great, I was even looking at some money training and teaching. There's a lot of good things going on. But I want to share tonight this subject that I come into your house is make sure. Thank you for watching on last week, and make sure you like and share today. On last week, I had a guest, my cousin Eunice, the family tree buff, Eunice Buffington, and we talked a lot about the root of sexual abuse. She shared with us the history. She shared with us how it was rooted and how our forefathers, where some of these problems came about in our families, and we looked at some of the pathologies that we seen how it came in to our household. Sexual and child abuse is a real problem today, and many sex offenders have committed multiple types of sexual crimes, and they have never ever have been convicted. So many people have not even shared their stories. But I want to share my story with you. Last week we talked about just where did it stem from, and she shared her story and I shared some of mine. I am really not ashamed, and why do we do this? Because it is a conversation that we must have. It's a bold conversation, and we need to have this conversation. We need to speak to our families. We need to talk about this and not be embarrassed by what is happening. And I'm going to share with you some stats. I'm going to share with you a passage from my book. One question that came to me, and I really want to concentrate on tonight, is at what age should we speak to our sons about sex, intimacy, consent, or just touching? So I would like for you to send a comment and tell me what you think. What age should we communicate this issue to our sons, to our daughters? As a girl, I remember oftentimes being told, put your dress down, put your legs together, don't sit on anybody's lap. That's your private. What do we say? What are we saying to our sons? Oftentimes in some of our communities, we don't have fathers. We don't have male figures. What are we saying? So I want to encourage you, those of you that may be becoming new parents. That's a question that you may want to communicate. Oftentimes, I think we get most of our information about the growth and the development of our children from our pediatricians or maybe from our parents. I didn't even think about that at the time when I was having children. Of course, I was young, 19 and 20, but even in my 30s when I had my youngest son, that was not a question that anyone had talked about. How should we approach it and how should we address it? So that is my question tonight. At what age should we speak to our sons about sex, intimacy, consensual sex, or just touching? Every child matures or becomes curious at different ages and different stages of their life. it may be a struggle to have this conversation, or just a thought. I just want you to think about this tonight. What are you telling your sons? I know that a lot of times, I have 3 sons and 2 daughters, but I remember the sons were more touchy, whether they touch you on your leg, and not even thinking about procreation or anything like that, but just touching. I remember one of them liked to touch right here, and they always was touching. And one incident, we were in our van with my children, and there was like a 56-year-old, and she had really big boobs. And I remember my little boy had to be about 3, and he was just rubbing his head all over, and she was like, "Oh, I'm gonna marry you." You know, we just made a laugh out of it. But something is going on with these little kids, even these little boys. Something is going on. But I think it should be addressed gently. But I do believe that we have not been addressing our sons oftentimes as much as we address our daughters. Like, we always tell our daughters they can't sit on anybody's lap. And nowadays, there is so much going on. 78% of child molesters report that they have sexually assaulted they have sexually assaulted as an adult. 52% of the adult rapists report that they have been sexually molested as a child. So where do we start? How do we begin to cut this even at the root? I believe that this is a discussion that needs to be had. So oftentimes, sometimes in our culture, we don't have a lot of fathers. We don't have a lot of big brothers. We don't have a lot of people. We have the church, but oftentimes after we shouted and danced and sang our songs and worship, we go home. In our churches, we have man cave or man power, but who's talking to our sons? I'm not saying it's totally your responsibility, but as the men in our community, I'm saying that we need you. We need our uncles. We need our fathers. We need our pastors. We need our brothers, and we need them to begin to raise our sons. You know, often they say the daughters are being raised, but the sons, they just lay back in the cut. Maybe they'll empty garbage. But we need to have programs and situations where you can begin to talk with them and let them know about their bodies. Let them know about touching. It has to start. We have to start having this conversation. And then what did you tell your children their genital parts are? What are you saying? We're saying, oh, that's your private. I just remember that being your private part or a special part. I think these things, and I would like for you to share with me. Send me some hearts, send me some questions, send me some information. I don't see anybody coming in tonight. I would love to see what you are saying tonight here on my page, Sheila Calvert. What are you saying? We often, and we need to set boundaries. Like, our young boys, they need to have boundaries too. I remember when I was coming up, the parents would just throw us up in the room. Even with teenagers, there should never be a 5-year-old mixed in with a 16 years old. It has nothing to do with whether you trust your child or not, or whether they're a good child or not. It's just important. Protective of our kids and their privacy. The truth of the matter is, they don't need that much privacy. Our children need to be trained. There need to be some teaching. There need to be some value. There need to be some rules set even for our sons. And this is not a male bashing, but I just know as a girl, we were always told, don't wear makeup, don't wear nail polish. Oh, that means you're fast, or that means you're bad. We were always being addressed. And I don't remember overhearing the boys, and maybe it was a private conversation, and maybe some of you are even having that conversation, and I'm glad you are. But for those of you that just think your 6-year-old, 7-year-old is not experiencing something or wondering or curious, I'm here to tell you they are, and we need to address the issue. A lot of times they'll come home and say, I got a girlfriend in kindergarten, and things like that. So that's when you can start having a gentle conversation. I believe it's our responsibility. It's not just left to the pediatricians to tell you. We need to read and we need to be informed. So that is my question. At what age should you address your sons? And they do need to be addressed. But we've had double standards all the time. One set of rules for the boys and one set of rules for the girls. And that's why we have such division. And oftentimes somebody is getting stuck with the load because there's not a balance of communication when it comes to how we're dealing, how we're raising, how we're fathering, how we're mothering, how we're parenting, what kind of guardian that you are. How are we raising our children? So let me share with you a passage from my book, Why Should I Be Ashamed? Please make sure you get a copy. Okay, here we go. I'm so excited to share my story, and I tell you, even as I'm reading through this book again and sharing, there's great things that's coming up in my life because it will bring healing. Anytime you confront your issues, there has to be a way to get through them, to get a healthy way. So as I'm confronting this issue, one thing that was downloaded into my spirit on last week, and I am spiritual, I'm not just so religious, I try to have balance. One thing that was downloaded said, so I don't have that, I'm not angry with anyone. I'm not angry with my mother. I'm not angry with the experiences that I had because those things I had to get past. At that time I was. And it was downloaded to me that my mother was the vessel that I came in through the world. And I know that my mother had some rough, hard experiences. I forgive it. Even he had some rough, even his brothers, his family. The family was very destructive, very dysfunctional, different fathers and just drugs and alcohol. No excuse for anyone. But I'm just telling you my experience. So the Spirit of the Lord showed me that I still was blessed to be in the world today, that I still came through my mother, and I'm thankful for that. So on page 9 of Why Should I Be Ashamed? It says, writing one's truth forces the writer to live that truth all over again. And this was the foreword done by Devonna Pittman, and I thank her for writing this for me. It is with a sincere passion for those who are hurting that I reveal my own truth. This journey was birthed from a desire to see a generation set free from the shame of abuse. Initially, I wanted to testify. I wanted to tell somebody because I had held it in so long. And matter of fact, like some of you, I was always telling other people's story. Did you hear about Oprah? Did you hear about that girl over there? And I wanted to see the expressions, and the expressions that I got was I was so embarrassed, and people would often, and I would get offended, they would say, oh, I would have never, and that would shut me down. But then I just began to write. I wanted to tell the world how I lived through the tragic, raging storms of life and how I overcame them. As I began to write, I felt it was rather important and relevant to uncover the shame that I had become protective of. Yes, I had subconsciously allowed myself to harbor shame. And as if I had brought the abuse upon myself. Many years, I finally asked, let me put my glasses anybody have any questions tonight? Send us your questions. I finally asked, why should I take the blame? Why should I be ashamed? The Lord has given me the strength to overcome my shame, but I experienced the hurt, embarrassment, and the bitterness that sexual abuse brings. I still find myself uncovering layers of hidden residue, including abandonment and neglect as a result of having been abused. Through all of that, I come to realize that there is healing for everyone who wants it, and believe they can walk in complete healing and freedom. I realized many years ago that I am not alone. Do you know that? What did I have down here? Oh, I have it in here. 1 in 5 women out of 22 million have been sexually assaulted. 1 in 71 men out of 1.6 million in the U.S. have been raped. Look at those stats. And that's just the ones that have been reported and told somebody. What about the people that have not told anyone? I realized many years ago that I'm not alone. No, I declare that all over the world, the day will come when children will seek help and they will be able to find it. That's what I want. I want exposure. I want it to be an open conversation. I have declared that I will not be smothered by internal shame, nor by the sharing intimate details of my life. I am declaring that others will be free also. I've been transparent in my writing by revealing my own struggles and my desire to survive. I win. I'm a winner tonight. I've been talking to women, and I've even talked to men in church. Some of them I made myself available, and I made the atmosphere where it was judgment free, where they could come and share their stories. I've seen, a lot of times we see women being promiscuous, and we'll say she's fast, she's nasty, she's no good. But when we see it in men, we say, oh, he's got that flavor, he's got that swagger, or he's that deal. And oftentimes, not all the times, but oftentimes, they're doing this to cover up. Sometimes they've had bad experience, and they do the same thing. Try to see how many trophies they can get. You know, having a woman is like a trophy, then to bring back their manhood. And that does not bring it back. I decree that does not bring it back. So we want to recover. We want to become healthy. We want to be set free. And I come to tell you that you can be set free tonight. You can live in this present world. You can be healed. You can be cleansed. I had a friend whom I love. I think I told you. I remember she would come over, and in her own private time, we're getting ready for church, and she's bathing, and she would use like almost a whole bar of soap, just trying to cleanse. It's got to be a cleansing of the emotion and your spirit. You know, it's not going to come clean just by avoiding the issue. Some of you, I know you ask, well, why? Why do we want to talk about it? But maybe today is not the day you want to talk about it, but we're available when you would like to talk about it. And if you share my book, read my book, go in privacy and read it, and it will bring some breakthrough. You don't have to be embarrassed about this experience. But we want to get to the place. Sometimes I felt like I had some kind of sign on my head, like abuse me, hurt me, you know, because sometimes we become so vulnerable and so fearful. But I remember the day I stood up, one of my friends, we were on the bus in Chicago, and this guy sat by her, and she just got up and moved. Well, I didn't know that I could just get up and move, and that's when I started standing up for myself. I got up and I moved away. And that's when I began to take my strength back. And I knew that I was valuable. I knew that I was worth something. I'm going to give you these stats in my closing today. Would you please, if you have any questions, give me a call. There's been a study conducted at the Colorado Department of Corrections on sex offenders. 78% of child molesters reported that they have been sexually assaulted by an adult. 52% of the adult rapists reported they have also sexually molested children. Approximately 1/3, 36% of sex offenders report assaulting both male and female. Watch your sons also. We used to just be protective over the girls, but now you have to watch everyone. A study examining child pornography offenders found similar results, 40%. 64% of the child molesters who victimize their own relatives. Watch your cousins and your uncles and your grandpas and your grandmas and your aunties. Also, sexual molested children who were not related to them. 53% of the child molesters who were victimized children who were not related to them had also victimized children who were family members. And the list goes on and on and on and on. So this is a pretty bold conversation that I'm having, but I want you to know that you can be set free. And I want to thank you for coming in on next Tuesday. I believe we're going to have some special guests. We're going to have some gentlemen to come in and share with us and talk to us about this issue. So I want to say thank you so much. And if you would like to purchase my book, you can go to Sheila Cash App and send $20, and that includes the shipping, and I will get you a book. And please don't forget to like and share. Please don't forget to tell someone to meet us here every Tuesday evening at 7 o'clock. We want to keep this subject going. And if you know anyone that needs help, any child that needs help, we know that we're in this stay-at-home situation, and I'm saying to you, please pay attention. Go to the National Sexual Abuse Hotline at 1-800-656-4673. Thank you. Have a great evening and be safe. Stay at home.